Now, how your drawing looks on paper is of the utmost importance. Most of your clients are going to look at a paper version of your drawing and not the AutoCAD version. Or maybe they'll look at a PDF or a DWF. Regardless, it's going to need to look right. So, how thick and what color your lines are and how they're going to be printed is a difficult thing to answer. You got to kind of figure it out. There are a couple of different methods to use when printing your drawings and how to control those line thicknesses and colors. One is through a CTB file. A CTB file controls your pin weights, the thicknesses of your line work. It can also control the color that they're printed with in the case you have a color printer or plotter. You can open up any AutoCAD file right now. And if you go to plot, you can see right here that the plot style. AutoCAD uses plot styles to control the line weights and colors of your objects. One is a CTB file, another is an STB file. I'm going to talk about STB files a little bit later on in another section. But right now, if you click on None, you find one of these. These are all the default CTB files that come with AutoCAD. They will control your pin weights. Now, to figure out what those pin weights are, you select one of them and you click on this little button right here called Edit. That brings up your CTB file tab. This is just another window, and it lists all of the colors that you can use, color 1 all the way through 255. So you have 255 options. Now, this is the form view. This is where you're going to work most of the time on this. This is a table view. It kind of shows the exact same thing, but it's in a table. This is just the general description of what's going on. So every color, in this case color 1, which is red, is controlled to print right through here. In a CTB file, that is a color-controlled plot style table. So it goes by colors. So if you assign a color to an object or a layer, this pin for color 1 will control how that red object is going to look. Now you set this all up right here for each one of these. So you have 255 options. So the color, you use the object color. You can even make red print blue if you want to. I don't recommend doing that. The only thing that you should set your colors to are the actual color that it is or black. So if you want everything to print black, then you have to select black. And you can turn dithering off or on. You can turn grayscaling off or on. You can assign a pin number or a virtual pin number to it, or you can have screening. Now, screening tells it to print it with a certain intensity. It makes it really light or really dark. It's kind of like shading. Now, 0 won't print it at all. It's completely screened. 100 means it's not screened at all. So think of these numbers for your screening as how much of that ink is getting through. So my screening is set to 100, so 100% of my ink is coming through. And you can set this up for line types, and you can set that up to make sure everything that is red is a dashed line or a solid line or a center line. You can control all of that here. I suggest that the only thing you really control with these properties is the color. So you make it the actual color or you make it black, and your line weight. So you can say everything I make red is going to be really thick. So to do that, you come and you pick one of these line weight settings. So if you pick it at 2 millimeters, it's going to be a 2 millimeter thick line. So you go on to your next one and you change all these, you set them all up and click save and close. I'm not going to save any changes to this file right now, but that's the way you do it. And you set up different CTB files to print for different size paper, for different screening, monochrome, grayscale, or to print to color, whatever it is you might want to print to. So how do you know something is going to print red or blue or whatever color that you have? Well, you go to your layer manager. Open up your layer manager and select the color. So in this case, if I pick red, I know that all of my dimensions are going to print in black because that's what I set that CTB file for. And they're going to be very thick. I may not want one that thick, so you might want to pick a different color, but that's how you control that with a CTB file. Now, there's another way besides the CTB file that you can control things, and that is if you set your pin style to none. If you set it to none, it's going to control your line weight according to your settings and your objects or the layer manager. So if I want this dimension to be red and to be thick, I just click here on the layer manager and make it the thickness I want. So now everything on that layer will print this way. So remember, a CTB file assigns printed color and weight through the color of the object in AutoCAD. If your objects are the color of 1 or red, then the CTB file translates that according to the settings. Typically, users will make sure a color prints to color, black and white prints to black and white, and a company will set up standard or default CTB files. Now, the biggest advantage you get from a CTB file is that you know that everyone is working the same way. They know that all their dimension lines are, in this case, red, and so that they're all going to come out at the exact same thickness. Maybe there's an object line that you need to be really thick, or maybe there's an object line that's going to be existing, so it needs to be dashed, and it needs to be scaled back just a little bit, not as dark, so it's a little bit lighter. So you set up a color for that and a layer for that. That's what a CTB file does. You know, when you look at the color, it's going to be that thick on your screen because you've established a standard, and that everybody works the same way so that all of your drawings come out the same way all the time. Now, one drawback to it is that you have to use the colors that you preset. So if you have trouble visualizing something in AutoCAD, you might want to change the colors so you can see it better. And so you kind of lose that ability by doing that. But that just depends on how you want to work and what works best for you and your team.